Welcome to another Empires and Puzzles books video. Today I want to talk about farming, specifically farming for XP. So what is farming? Farming is basically when we're replaying levels to try to gain some kind of material or resource. You'll see a lot of players asking where's the best place to farm for backpacks or recruits, that kind of thing. I have never cared about any of that. All I've ever focused on was farming for XP, which is the experience for the player leveling. My experience has been that farming for XP allows us to get all of those other items that we need. So when I'm not engaged in a current challenge event or a raid or a war, titans or quests, I'm concentrating on farming for XP. So why do I concentrate on XP? Well, of the 3 flasks in the game, the raid flask, the world energy flask, and the titan flask, only the world energy flask is the one that we can increase the value of it by playing. No matter what we do in the game, a Titan flask will always have 3 flags, a raid energy flask will always have 6. But the world energy flask, as we level up our player level, will keep gaining more and more value to it. And that to me is the reason to keep farming for XP. Literally every time you upgrade a level or 2 and you gain world energy flags, you've increased the value of that flask, and that to me is important. In fact, it's the only thing in the game that we can increase the value of through play. So to give you an idea where I'm at and what has farming XP gotten me, I've been playing for about 80 weeks, so just about a year and a half, a little over a year and a half, and I'm currently at player level 107. And I'm more than halfway to player level 108. So that means in the last 80 weeks, I've been averaging up a new player level about every 5 days, just a little over 5 days. Now that my level is so high, it's taking me about a week to do that. So at level 107, what am I getting there as far as world energy? My flasks now include 71 flags. So if you're a brand new player and you cash in a world energy flask, you're getting 15 flags. So 71 flags is over 475% increase in value. There is nothing else in the game that we can increase a value like that. So put that in perspective, a lot of players like farming Season 1, Province 8, Stage 7. So a new player cashes in a World Energy Flask and they'll get to play that level 5 times. They'll be able to farm that level. With the current 71 flags I have now, I'll be able to farm it 24 times. So that's a huge amount of value for the same identical flask. So if we spend, new player spends 100 gems to get a flask, they're only going to play 5 rounds of farming. I will be able to get 24 rounds at least out of that same farming on that level. So you can farm all you want for recruits, iron, food, anything else, backpacks, but you'll never change the value of those items. They will always just be what they are. But farming for XP, we can change the value of those world energy flasks, and that's huge for me. Imagine the day that you wake up and you have a bunch of new quests or the new challenge events. Imagine how much further you could go if you had 71 flags to use. How many of you are waiting around, waiting for flags before you can complete a quest or a different activity? I don't have that problem. It's a nice luxury to have, and I've earned it through all this farming for XP. Along the way, I pick up more than enough of the other things. Plenty of food, iron, backpacks. I don't know. I think I'm at 6,000 or 7,000 backpacks now. Maybe it's more than that. I don't even know. But it's an enormous amount of backpacks. So I will never need backpacks again. Recruits, I don't even collect them anymore. I have the house on the maximum level that produces recruits, and they're pretty much the only recruits I get. So if you concentrate on XP farming, you can move up levels pretty quickly, increasing both your hero cap and your world energy flask. So how do I go about farming for XP and where to look for it? There are 3 ways that I look for farming for XP, and all 3 are very different and all very important. So the 3 things that I look at is the amount of XP I can get per loot ticket, XP per flag through normal play, and XP per time. How fast can I get XP? So let's start with the loot tickets since they're the easiest. So if you're not familiar with the loot tickets, you might have a pile of loot tickets, you might not be using them. You really want to use those loot tickets. Basically, a loot ticket will allow you to instantly win any level that you've already played before. So I recommend using those for the largest amount of XP you can get in one shot. At the time that I learned, I was around player level 30, 31 when I realized the power of a loot ticket, and I decided to blow all of my loot tickets in one shot right when I hit player level 32. I wanted to see how fast I could level up. So using all those loot tickets in one shot, I used them at that time on Season 1, Province 2710, the last level of Season 1. And using all the loot tickets I had at that point, I was able to level up from level 32 to level 33 in 46 minutes. So can you imagine how many recruits, feeder heroes, and other loot I picked up in that 46 minutes? In fact, it would have been faster if I would have let the food, iron, and recruits and feeders overflow, but it slowed me down having to stop every few turns to go feed the troops and put the iron and food somewhere to be useful so I can keep collecting. So that's the power of loot tickets. You want to use them, you can level up very quickly. So since the time that I did that 46-minute leveling up, the game has given us Atlantis Rises, which is the weekend once a month that Atlantis levels are cheaper in the number of flags and also cheaper in the number of flags, but a serious increase in the amount of loot we get. It's a 50% increase. So all the stuff in Atlantis now is 50% higher during that weekend. So it really makes sense to use loot tickets in Atlantis. The other reason it makes sense to use loot tickets in Atlantis is because the highest XP currently in the game that you can get on one loot ticket is from Season 2 Atlantis, Province 2710, the final level. Now, I don't actually recommend we use that level. If you do that level, you'll get 4,650 XP per ticket, which is huge. But I actually use the level right below that, Season 2 27.9, during the Atlantis Rises weekend. I'm giving up 100 XP, so I get 4550 XP instead of 4650 XP. But I also save one flag, which means I can get more opportunities to play that one level for a World Energy Flask. But more importantly, the last level does not really offer opportunities for the Atlantis or Chalcom Sea Dragon to appear. That's the one that drops the Atlantis coins. Level 9, Stage 9 of Province 27 has many more rounds to it, so there's a lot more opportunities for those Sea Dragons to drop coins. So I'll collect loot tickets all month long. I am pay to play, so I'll buy all of the loot ticket offers that they have. There's usually 2 or 3. There's usually 2 throughout the month and 1 during Atlantis weekend. I buy them all, and I throw them all on 27.9 hard. I should mention that. You should use the hard level. That's where you're getting the maximum XP. With doing that, I usually get easily a couple hundred Atlantis coins out of the deal, so I get a couple free pulls in addition to all of the other loot that you get through Atlantis. So loot tickets you want to use on Season 2 27.9. I'm not seeing a better place to use them at the moment, but I am keeping my eye on Season 3 and where that XP is coming in per ticket. Currently, Season 3 is topping out at Providence 15 Stage 10 hard, and that's giving 4,125 XP, which is still over 400 XP less than we're getting on Atlantis in 27.9 hard. So for now, I'm still saving my loot tickets for Atlantis. I assume by the time we get a few more provinces into Season 3, that might switch and it might become more profitable to use those loot tickets in Season 3, which is going to give us a different kind of reward than we were getting in Atlantis, and I'll explain that in a little bit as to why I'm doing some farming in Season 3 now. So that's XP per loot ticket. The thing that really matters for most of the month is the XP per flag. So when you're not playing any of the quests or doing any of the other challenges or things like that, you just have flags to burn, you're going to want to use those wherever you can get the maximum XP for flag. So the highest place that you can get XP per your flags is the monthly challenge event on the rare level 3. It's a monster level for XP per flag. You actually get 975 XP for one flag. It's huge. Most other high levels, if you're lucky, are in the 600s. throughout most of the month. They're in the 300 to 400 range, so getting almost 1,000 for one flag is huge. Although that is a killer place to get XP per flag and probably the best deal in the game for that, I've actually stopped farming that. I don't farm the rare level 3 anymore during the challenge event, and I'm not doing that for two reasons. One, it offers absolutely no food or iron, so you're still gaining a lot of feeder heroes and recruits and things as you're playing that level over and over, but you'll end up food poor because you'll end up with all these feeders, and assuming you want to keep up with your feeders and feed those into your heroes that you're leveling, you're going to be running out of food. Plus, I just need food in general for everything, so to spend that kind of time farming a level that's giving me no food, that has no value to me, even with that incredible amount of XP. The second reason I don't farm that anymore is it's too slow. It's 975 per flag, but you can only play one flag at a time, and it just takes way too long. I can earn XP at a faster rate on other levels, and I'll get into that in the third part of this video when I'm talking about XP per time. So I just am not playing Rare 3 anymore. I used to auto farm it that entire weekend, and I realized I'm just getting a lot more XP throughout the weekend farming elsewhere, and I'm getting a ton more food and iron. So I'm not wasting my time on Rare 3, even though it is a huge amount of XP per flag. So the next best place that has to be on your radar for farming for XP is during Atlantis Rises weekend. Atlantis is usually high cost levels as far as the number of flags to play, but during Atlantis Rises weekend they drop that down three flags, which drastically increases the XP per flag, and then you get all that other loot. So the two levels you want to focus on during Atlantis Rises is Atlantis Providence. They're both in Providence 9, and it's Stage 9 and Stage 10. They will both give respectively 638 XP per flag and 640 XP per flag. So there's some debate about which one to play. I used to always play 9-9, giving up that 2 XP per flag in exchange for an extra round of monsters. With that extra round of monsters, it gives you more chances that the Atlantis or Chalcum Sea Dragon will appear, and you can get those Atlantis coins. The reality, though, is Season 2 9-10, although it's one round shorter, that means you can also play it quicker. So you actually gain more rounds just from the nature that it doesn't take you as long to play. So another player challenged me on that a few months ago, and I looked into the math and started doing some testing, and the reality is I can play 9-10 faster than I can play 9-9. By the way, these are both on normal. So the loot tickets are on Atlantis Hard. The flags are on 9-9 or 9-10 normal. So if you're cheap to play, or you don't want to be using a lot of facts or keep buying a lot of flasks during Atlantis weekend, you might want to do 9-9 normal. Since it has that extra round, you'll still have those extra shots at getting the Sea Dragon, but you will accrue XP and other items much faster by playing 9-10 normal. So that is the killer weekend. I try to keep the thing running. Pretty much if I'm awake, I have that thing running and farming for me all weekend. You know, I could be at the gym working out or going for a run, or my wife and I are watching a movie. Whatever we're doing, I'll just have it on and I'll just keep hitting restart on it and let it play all weekend. It's a huge opportunity to increase player level. You combine that with all the loot tickets you put when Atlantis starts in that high level, and you can probably level up once or twice. You know, I've seen people level up 3-4 times in an Atlantis weekend. Well, most of the month is not during a challenge event or during Atlantis weekend, so the question is, where do you put your flags at that point to gain the maximum XP when you're auto farming throughout the rest of the month? So the levels, you know, I learned early on to remember these levels. So it basically depends on what flags I had left. If I have 3, 4, or 5, or 6 flags left. So if I have 6 flags left, I'm playing Season 1, Province 20, Stage 4. It's going to give 374.5 XP per flag, which is about as good as you're going to get outside of Atlantis, unless you want to play one of the 7 flag levels that are higher in Season 1. I had a habit just having been playing the 7 flag levels, just because early on when I got into XP farming, my teams weren't strong enough to auto farm those levels. So I've always just focused on basically Season 1 24. I would just play that auto farming all day. I'd have it like I said, basically if I was doing other things, I would just have the game auto farming that level. So regardless of how many flags you get in a World Energy Flask, you're going to end up with a remainder at some point. So let's say you have a full set of flags and you're playing Season 1, 20, Stage 4 over and over again. You're going to end up with some change left that you don't have exactly 6 flags. If that flag count ends up stopping at 5 flags, then I play Season 1, 17-1, which gives 366 XP per flag. And if there are 4 flags left, then I'm playing Season 1, Providence 12, Stage 9, which is given 346.75 XP per flag. And if I happen to have just 3 flags left, I will use Season 1, 9-1, which is giving 285.67, which isn't great, but it's better to get that than just burning 3 flags or wasting time waiting for more flags to accrue to do a higher level. Like I said, I keep my auto farming going, so as soon as I get to the end of a World Energy Flask, I'll use one of these 4 levels to burn off the remainder flag and then start a new flask pretty much right away. Now, one of the nice things during the challenge event weekends is the events, the rare events will have some levels that only take 1 or 2 flags. So if you end up with a very small remainder, you can burn those off during that weekend. I have so many flags now. If I end up with a remainder that's under 3 and it's not just if it's less than 2 minutes away, I'll wait for a 3rd flag to play Season 1, 9-1. If it's longer than 2 minutes, I'll just reset and get a new flag and just let that 1 or 2 flags go to waste just so I can keep the farming going. So that is where I do my regular farming for XP per flag, or at least that's where I was doing it. With Season 3, my focus has changed slightly. I am realizing with Season 3, especially on the hard modes, that there is an enormous amount of food and iron you can get with a similar amount of XP. So since I've analyzed the hard levels of Season 3, I am gaining a lot more XP, food, and iron per round of play. So the place that I am mostly farming right now is Season 3, Providence 1, Stage 3 hard. I'm doing that level not because it's the best, but because it's the level that I can auto farm without getting into too much trouble. When I talk about getting into too much trouble, keep in mind that Season 3 Valhalla has those runic stones that can really ruin your game when you're auto farming. If you're not completely paying attention and the middle of the board gets clogged up with those runic stones, your heroes could start taking on some damage and you might start losing people. You might lose the auto farm. So for me, I can play Season 3 1-3 hard and pretty much auto farm that all day. Maybe once out of every 20-30 games I'll realize my heroes are in trouble and I might have to jump in to save the auto farm. But otherwise I don't have to pay attention. I can kind of set it and forget it. I have a good team that auto farms that, and I just collect all of that XP and the ham and iron that come with that. So Season 3 1-3 hard is giving 368.5 XP per flag, which isn't bad. But what's really exciting to me is I'm getting nearly 1,000 food per flag and almost 1,600 iron per flag. The level costs 10 flags to play. That means for 1 round of play, I'm getting over 11,000 food and over 16,000 iron and racking up over 3,600 XP. For me, that's 1 World Energy Flask. And then I'll have like a 3 remainder, so I'll burn that off on Season 1, 9-1. The levels I was just talking about in the previous part of the video. But just on Season 3, 1-3 hard and 1 World Energy Flask now, I'm getting over 154,000 food per hour and over 224,000 iron per hour while accumulating over 51,000 XP per hour. So if you can imagine letting your auto farm go pretty much all day long and just let that thing run, that's an enormous amount of food and iron and XP. So since I switched to XP per time, my goal has been to auto farm about 15% of my player level every day, which allows me to increase a level about once a week. So during this past weekend, I hit player level 107. I'm over 50% of the way to level 108 now. During Atlantis Rises weekend and things like that, you have the opportunity to to gain XP at a faster rate with those loot tickets and things. So those weekends allow me to make a bigger jump. But that's what I'm doing. I completely am a believer in XP farming. It's gotten me tens of thousands of all the other items, and some of that's from the excessive amount of farming I do. But if you see my other video on the alchemy lab, it's given me plenty of stock to keep the alchemy lab running with junk that I don't need. So that has been an ancillary benefit that I didn't realize would happen until the alchemy lab happened to come along to get rid of all those extra items. So what happens if I actually would need an item, or you're doing XP farming and you realize you need an item? At any point you can just switch gears and go back to doing the regular farming that you enjoy, except that you've increased player levels, so you have a lot more world flags to do it. There really isn't a downside to XP farming, and having increased so many levels at the rate that I have, I can tell you I'm really grateful for all that hero cap and all of the extra world energy flags. Not to mention that every time you increase a level, you basically get a bonus of all those flasks, right? Because all your rate energy, your titan, and your world flags all get refilled. So that's a whole extra round of play of all 3 flags that you get every time you level up. So that's just another advantage to leveling up quicker. Above player level 100, I'm not getting a regular summons token anymore. I'm getting an epic hero token, which is great, and I'm not getting 10 gems per level up anymore. I'm getting 50. So there is some incentive to get higher up in the levels, as the rewards are not fantastic, but they're definitely better at the lower levels. So for me, it's XP farming. I hope this made sense to you, and I hope you're able to start increasing your player level and getting more value out of your world energy flags. Got any questions or comments, please put them below. I try to respond to everything that's asked. Happy gaming. Good luck with your tiles.